Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup Podcast. My name's Keith Brugman, and I'm going to be your host this evening. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network and, of course, sponsored by Morgan Trinkets. I'm going to get all the way around the horn, but first I got to start with the stepfather himself, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Great to be back with you guys. Tuesday night, looking forward to a fun-filled hour of Denver Bronco Roundup with both of you and the posse. Let's go.
Let's go. That's right, buddy. Let's go. I'm always excited to have the stepfather in, given that difference perspective and always giving a good perspective as well. And a critical one as of lately, but one that's kind of been a little bit more on par with what we've seen so far from this Denver Broncos team. Welcome in the Rocket Man, Trevor Salzman. How you doing, sir?
Well, I don't know about critical lately. I think I've been critical for, at least until, since we've been doing this podcast together. But
fair enough.
No, again, I want to be critical of this football team, but also want to give them praise. So, or when they deserve praise, I should say. So, just one of my mottos that I like to kind of go by. But no, looking forward to kind of break the game down a little bit. Got a chance to watch a little bit of film, so looking forward to break the game down, and it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, the one, caveat I put in here, I gotta, raise my fist and shake it a little bit to NFL Network, who has not gotten the all-22 film out like I wanted prior to this broadcast. So I had to just watch the regular broadcast a few different times. Not really what I wanted to see. Tried to evaluate it from there, but I'm still in here. We're still in here talking Broncos football. We're still in here debating about this loss. I figured that would be a nice little plug for anybody who's maybe looking for an alternative this evening. So I got to get into this. Maybe this is the biggest debate. I'll start off with you, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to put more blame of this loss on Bo Nix or one Mr. Sean Payton, where are you putting the blame? How are you weighing this out, sir?
Yeah, again, there's blame to go all the way around. I think it's not just Nix and Peyton, but it's also the playmakers. They didn't help Bo Nix out much at all. But I think they got to lie with the architect of the offense. I think it's got to be. We're talking about weighing the blame. I think it's Sean Payton. Again, this is a rookie quarterback. You knew this is going to be a tough environment. You talked about running the football all week, but then you went against it. It made no sense. 42 passing attempts and 25 rushing attempts in this game. 7 total rushing attempts in the second half of the game. That's difficult. That's difficult to ask of your rookie quarterback to go out there and win the game when you put them in a difficult situation. He talked about how the offensive line wasn't protecting Bo Nix very well. I thought they did a solid job. They weren't great, but I thought they did a solid enough job to get them to a win. I thought there was some running lanes, at least for the first half, in my opinion, that were there. I just don't think that they stuck to it enough, in my opinion, even though they're not running lanes every single play. But there were certainly, I think, plays and missed opportunities on the running game side of things where there was a couple plays that did break out and that I seen. So just kind of, I think, missed opportunity to try to help out your rookie quarterback. And I think it has to, most of the blame has to kind of lie with the architect of the offense and the guy that ended up bringing some of these players in here to Denver. So, just Sean Payton for me first. But again, there's blame that you can go all the way around, I think, with this, how bad the offense was.
Yeah, I just, I think there's a lot going on in the Mile High City. A lot of people talking and a lot of people trying to at least assign the majority of the blame on one of these two individuals. Bo Nix didn't go out there and have the greatest performance, but as you said, a lot of people are critical of Sean Payton and the play and the scheme that he put out there versus the Seattle Seahawks as they went on the road with a rookie quarterback. So I go to you, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, the stepfather himself. Very nice to see you this evening, sir.
Thank
and
you.
what are your thoughts on this? How would you weigh the blame as far between, if you had to, give that scale, Bo Nix, Sean Payton? How are you weighing that scale out? And by the way, lots of love coming in already. Ernie Mays and Graham as well. Graham saying Trevor's definitely not a hater with the cool man sunglasses on. So what do you got for us, Kenny?
My answer is short. I said, from day one, I wasn't the biggest Bo Nix supporter, but I'm not putting any blame on this loss on Bo Nix. This is 100% scale Sean Payton. And I'm going to just tell you two teams. I'm going to name the LA Chargers and I'm going to name the San Francisco 49ers. What did they do that was different than other teams in the NFL? They ran the ball down the other defense's throats. J.K. Dobbins, 135 yards rushing. Christian McCaffrey didn't play yesterday. They stuck to the run with their backup running back, Mason, and he had about the same, 130 yards, give or take a couple yards there. They ran the ball down the throat. Sean Payton throwing the ball 43 times in a close game. As bad as the offense looked, it was still close. You guys only lost by 6 points. And he's throwing the ball 43 times with his rookie quarterback. Unacceptable. I put 100% of the blame on the leader of the team, and that's Sean Payton. He better change quickly, or he is. We're going to start talking about, maybe moving on from Mr. Sean soon, because I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, and I'm not in bed like other people say with Sean.
The other half of the K&K Sports Show, Mr. Kurt Valente, definitely in bed with Sean Payton. Kenny, not so much, man. He'll take the couch. Jeremy's coming in and saying, "Go Broncos." The loss is on Sean Payton. Game plan was awful. Agreeing with what you guys are saying as well. I got to say hello to my sister Leanna coming in here. No comment because she's just in here dropping stars. And sis, you didn't have to, but I appreciate you, and I appreciate anybody that comes in here, comments, contributes in any form, shape, way. I appreciate you guys all so much. Kind of like Martin, who comes over on YouTube, he says Nix is our future, but he was the weakest link in this past Sunday. He missed wide open guys. Sean Payton can't be blamed for that. Nix is going to be great. These are just growing pains. And I think this is a great point as well. I went back and I watched this game a couple of different times, and I wasn't, as much as I know the numbers prove out to say, hey, we should have ran the ball and we didn't do it enough in the second half. I think we took a little bit different identity in trying to do a short passing game, a quick short passing game, in order to substitute for the running game. And if you start taking all the receptions in that you see from McLaughlin and you see from all the other running backs and even a few of the wide receivers who got involved with that, it supplanted what we were trying to do in the running game. Now, should we have still ran the ball more and not use that quick passing game as much as we did? Probably. But I want to point out that I don't think it was just, Bo Nix sitting back there and we're expecting him to bomb it out 15, 20 yards downfield time after time after time. That was not the game plan. I think the game plan can be better, but again, when we start talking about what Bo Nix is good at, what he did well at Oregon, it was that quick passing game, that quick out. I would have liked to see him a little bit further downfield and not so much behind the line of scrimmage like they were doing, but it was that quick passing game. So I think Sean Payton was trying to replicate for Bo Nix things that, were easy for him. But what I don't agree with and what I would like to see more in a Sean Payton offense is a little bit more of a layered read. Everything for Bo Nix was, I had to go from left to right. Where's my 1? Where's my 2? Where's my 3? Where's my 4? Rather than having those guys that are crossing in depth where you can say, do I have my guy close? Do I have my guy mid? Do I have my guy long? And be able to make a decision that way to where he's not having to look across. That way, if he's kind of staring down a guy. He's staring down 3 guys, not staring down 1 guy, potentially in that situation. So that's something that I would like to see, and that's some critique that I'll give Sean. But I wanted to give a little bit of relief. I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on what I just said. Trevor, am I right in what I'm saying? And can you agree with me a little bit on how Sean Payton kind of schemed this, even though it wasn't the run heavy that we'd like to see? And then I got to get to a few more comments as well.
Yeah, I mean, I again, the crossing routes, because it was such a big deal when Russell Wilson was here, right? That was kind of part of the reason why he didn't see the middle of the field. So in Sean Payton offense, you want to see those crossing routes. We didn't see a whole lot of that on Sunday. So it's
Fair.
I get where Sean Payton's coming from, where you're trying to get Bo Nix comfortable, getting the ball out quickly, but it's just, I mean, you're just putting him in a difficult situation, and it's just what you're asking him to do. You still have him to drop back and make a pass, and to me, there was potential in the running game. You would get a first down from McLaughlin on a running on when he ran the ball and in the running game, and then he'd go back to the passing game. It's just not working. Now you're having to make up ground because you're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Well, now Seattle's reacting. If they tackle, your history. So it's just one of those things where I get where he's coming from, trying to make Bo Nix comfortable, what he does best at Oregon, but this is the NFL. It's a different game, and I just think you got to trust your running game this year. I think the running game potentially could be one of Bo Nix's best friends because of the lack of playmakers that I think this Broncos team has. Other than Vele, who else was out there, breaking tackles and extending plays? I mean, when they were catching the ball, I didn't see a whole lot of that either. So that's one of those concerns for me. Of course, Nick's, he missed some balls and, he overthrew some guys and just wasn't, accurate enough. But again, what rookie quarterback did, in particular well the first week, you kind of knew this. That's why I said that record on Friday. You kind of knew that your rookie quarterback is probably going to struggle his first game. I think even CJ Stroud did too. So it's going to happen. I just think that he just tried to get Nixon. He worried about trying to get Nixon rhythm a little bit too much rather than get this offense in rhythm. And so that's kind of where I think he went wrong, but hopefully he adjusts, going forward. And again, trying to find that mixture of what Nix does and what the offense does is going to be, I think, very critical and crucial to what this Broncos offense is going to need to do. You got to see better, though. Got to see better results.
Phil came in here dropping stars, so I'm going to kind of pose this over to Kenny on this one. He says, good evening, Keith, Rocket Man, and quote-unquote the stepfather. At some point, we have to get a receiver that can break away and make the D back off the line. 9 in the box kills the run and the short pass. And that's something that I was super critical of as well. I kept saying, everyone's saying, we got to get the run game. The run game opens up the pass game, but it goes both ways, in my opinion, Kenny. You have to get that passing game going if you want to have any potential of getting that run game, because like Phil says, they start stacking them in the box. And even more so, there's been a lot made about all these big wide receivers that we have on here, big, tall guys, big, kind of lumbering wide receivers, I guess you could say, jump ball type of wide receivers. Do we have an issue not having a guy that can blow the top off the top of the defense? And is that an issue as well? We'll wrap it all into one. What do you got for Phil here, buddy?
I think it is an issue at some point there, Phil. You definitely have to get a receiver. You think you have him with Cortland Sutton, but, if he's going to get double teamed, like if you got no other threats, you're going to have guys double teaming him. And where's your second round pick, Marvin Mims? He's nowhere except doing a good job kick returning and punt returning. Okay. Your tight end, Dulcich. I'll go even one further. Tight ends. You might not even need a receiver. Tight end, Dulcich. Crow was unavailable yesterday. He didn't play. He was inactive. He's the guy I think that could be that big target for Bo Nix in a short passing game. Dulcich, everybody's expecting it. Dulcich needs to step up. Somebody needs to step up. I think you got players that can, Phil. They're just not stepping up. You're not seeing it from Mims. You're not seeing it from Dulcich. Troy Franklin was inactive yesterday, and he was a teammate of Bo Nix. I mean, at some point, you got to, blame management here too. These are your draft picks you're making, a 4th-round pick, and he's inactive, healthy scratch week 1. That's unacceptable. You traded up for him, just like you traded up for Mims last year. Both of these guys, a receiver's there, Phil, the talent's there. But I just don't know what the problem is. Yeah, the coaching, the route running, I don't know what it is. But I think you have the receivers there that can break away. I think
I'm going to
I
pose.
was going to say, I think you have to feed receivers that can break away and start giving them a chance.
Very good. I'll pose it's a little bit different over to Trevor then. More important, having a guy like Mims or Franklin that's a little bit more of a speed guy go out there and start producing, or having Cortland Sutton catch the pass, little Jordan Humphreys catch the pass, Vele catches pass that he dropped as well. There was, like you said, there's plenty of blame to go around. How much would it have changed if those passes would have been made versus maybe having a speed guy out there like a Franklin or a Mims that was able to more take the top off of this defense? When Phil's asking about our wide receivers here, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's possible that Mims and Franklin, would have made a difference. But here's the thing: why? There's a reason these guys aren't playing. What have we seen? What have the coaches seen in practice that we're not seeing that these guys aren't playing? Marvin Mims. I mean, you'd have to think the coaching staff would like to get him on the field, but why? Why is it? Is it an attitude problem? We heard about stories about him throwing his helmet at practice and stuff like that. Or with Troy Franklin, we knew he was coming in to the league raw, but you still traded up to get him. So it's one of those things where I agree with Kenny. You have two 100 top picks in this wide receiver room, investing in this wide receiver room, and Franklin and Mims, who are not playing much at all. You're not getting much production there from them at all. The production you're getting is from Vele and a couple veterans. So it's just, it would be nice to see some of the young receivers out there, but it's, I mean, when Sean Payton talks again about getting Marvin Mims involved with the offense, and then doesn't happen, once again, it's concerning. It's part of the process that you have to, when you draft these guys, second round, the fourth round, these guys have to hit for your team to be successful. You're not getting that right now at all. And so it's concerning, though, that Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin aren't showing enough in practice for these coaches to put them on the field, though. I think we have to keep them in mind. I do think this coaching staff knows what, the best talented wide receivers to put on the field, they will put on the field. Look at Bailey, 7th round draft pick. He's on the field making plays, so it's just have to keep that in mind. But it's from a talent perspective, when you're looking at these guys, drafting these guys, it's a failure that they're not seeing the field when you drafted them this high.
Adam's coming in and saying, "Hey, family, let's go." I thought this was perfect because he says we must trust the process. Like you were just saying, these coaches are out there and they're selecting the wide receivers that are hitting this field. That's just one part of trusting the process. I want to get to this. Actually, I'll hold off on the last comment there because I want to talk just a little bit more. Kenny, I don't know how much you got to see of the game. Obviously, you usually do your research, but how did you feel this offensive line did? There was a lot of questions about this offensive line protecting Bo Nix. That's obviously super important. We talked about the running game. It seemed like it was efficient when we were utilizing it, and maybe we could have utilized it more. But how did you feel about Bo Nix and the protection that he got from this offensive line, including a brand new center and one Luke Wattenberg?
I would say average, giving them a fair grade, right down the middle. C. You lost Garrett Bowles, so I'm not going to give them an F grade when you lose arguably your best lineman. Hopefully the injury is not as bad. I didn't hear any updates. Did you guys have an update on Garrett Bowles?
Day to day.
That's great news. That's great news because you can't on a team that's young like this, you can't lose one of your star veteran players and captains. So that's great news. So down the line for me, of course, you're gonna have little growing pains with the center. But there's gonna be some pressures there. McGlinchey, I didn't really evaluate him too much. I just know about Garrett Bowles in the center mostly, so I don't know how well or how bad McGlinchey or Manhertz did, in fairness, in Powers.
Very good. Miners, not Manhertz, but I knew
Miners. Manhertz is on the Giants now. That's why I'm saying
no worries. No worries. The guy gets around. That being said, I know that Trevor, you watch this a lot. What were your thoughts as we put that offensive line out there for the first time versus that Seattle defense? A Seattle defense that, did make fairly big improvements in making sure that they'd be stout for this year.
Yeah, I see that again. I agree with Kenny. It was average, probably maybe a little, slightly below average. But I don't blame the offensive line for how bad this offense was. Again, to me, it goes back to play calling. When you call 5 consecutive passing plays in a row, that's getting a little bit predictable for the defense. And I just didn't see the mixture and the creativeness that I want to see from Sean Payton when play calling. I think that he has to look himself in the mirror and say that I put my players in the best possible position to be successful. That's including your offensive line. And I do think, and there was running lanes there open. Javonte Williams, sometimes he didn't exactly see those holes at times, in my opinion. But you have to think about how you can put your players in the best possible position to be successful. And I don't just blame this on the offensive line. Again, there's a mixed baggage, so much blame that can go around, but a little maybe average to slightly below average, I would say, for this offensive line. They certainly weren't the issue, I think, to this offense struggling.
Very good. Dan's coming in here. He's had a couple of comments, but this one lines right up. He's coming in a little bit later. He says, why did Sean Payton use 70% passing versus 30% running, 50-plus pass attempts for a rookie quarterback? Unreal. And then I wanted to flip over to this because, and I'll go to Kenny on this one. He says, I think the GM and the head coach needs to be on the hot seat. Lots of exclamation points behind that hot seat. Kenny, when do you start putting these guys on the hot seat, or are you like Dan? Do you have them there already? What do you think about George Payton and Sean Payton?
Dan, I would have him on the hot seat now, but I think it's going to take at least probably at the earliest 6 to 8 games to get an evaluation on them this year. The GM, he's going to be the scapegoat. George is going to be the scapegoat out of this situation if it gets bad. Sean has been escaping things left and right, and that's every single week. We've seen it last year. It was Russell Wilson's fault. It was this one's fault. Meanwhile, we're seeing Sean Payton make Nathaniel Hackett type mistakes when Nathaniel Hackett was coach last year. This year, he's throwing the ball, like Dan said, 50-plus times in a game that you're in with your rookie quarterback, and you're throwing the ball for 138 yards and 27 completions. That's just, I don't agree with the play calling, and Sean Payton's got to be held accountable sooner or later. And you hear about the Hall of Fame coach. Well, maybe his time has passed. It's a new NFL today. Bill Belichick's out there for a reason. Nobody wants him. The old-time coaches from 20 years ago, that NFL has changed. And that style is not working. You have to adapt to today's NFL, and I don't know if Sean can do that. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know if he can do it.
Wow.
But to answer real quick, say he needs to be on the hot seat. Yes.
Hot seat already from Kenny for Sean Payton. George Payton might be the scapegoat in his opinion, but I'm going to go over to Trevor, man. Same question, man. Is it now? Is it later? Is he already there? When are you putting Sean Payton, George Payton on the hot seat, buddy?
Well, it's only week 1, so I don't want to overreact and kind of, these guys should be fired. I don't want to call for anybody's job way too early. But I agree with Kenny. There comes a time where you have to start making changes if nothing's going right. There's George Payton and Sean Payton. Just seems like since 2021, that 2021 draft class, they just have hit maybe on 1 or 2 players in their draft classes up, from 2022, 2023. And then, you had to be determined about this class. There's still time, of course, for anybody to kind of come out and be a player. But, you're getting very little success from your draft classes, and that's how you have to build a team in the NFL. You can't build a team through free agency. It just doesn't work like that with the cap. So, we'll see how the season goes. I'm not ready to put anybody's, but kind of on the hot seat right now. But, if things don't turn around quickly, well, not quickly because it's week 1, but if things don't turn around, by the end of the year, there's some discussion to be had. Although I do think Sean Payton at least gets 1 more year in Denver. I don't think he's going to be gone, bearing a disaster with this football team. I don't think he's going to be gone to the end of the year. But George Payton, it definitely could be. And keep in mind some of the guys they brought into the front office as well, that they could, maybe Sean Payton kind of steers to that direction with some of the guys that he brought in. There was a guy he brought in from New Orleans as well. So into the front office. So you'd have to be determined. I would say just not quite yet there though.
Martin's coming in and says, well, as far as the GM goes, how many of us could flush $100 million down the drain and keep our job? So, not a bad point there. Not a bad point. as he's kind of the residual leftover from that whole Russell Wilson purchase and decision, I guess you could say. So, I'm not gonna do hot seat quite yet. Again, I still gotta rewind, at least for Sean Payton. I mean, we've went through 1 year with a quarterback that, again, in my opinion, is falling off and was last year. Now we got a brand new rookie quarterback, and I'm going to go back to an earlier comment that we had, and that's a little bit of trust the process. I think everyone wants, the pre-made microwave meal that's ready in 30 seconds when it comes to their quarterback. Everyone's hoping that CJ Stroud just emerges right out the gate for every quarterback taken in those top 6. Well, outside of Atlanta, but the rest of them are just hoping for a miracle from day one, and it does take time. This is a process. It's not easy, and it's not easy for any position. And I don't care how many starts he had or how much time he had as a starting college quarterback. He's in the NFL now, and it's not preseason anymore. Even Glenn Condrez, when he said it came on, he said, what'd you guys do? Go undefeated in the preseason? I heard. He's like, well, Sundays is what counts. And Sundays is what counts. Undefeated in the preseason did not pay dividends for the first game for the Denver Broncos, especially on the offensive side, where I think we would have liked to seen just a lot more production and more rhythm, more timing. I go back to those drop passes that we saw, and those are opportunities, especially for a rookie quarterback, to go out there and start to feel comfortable in the NFL, start to get some rhythm, get that third down conversion, start to feel comfortable. It also allows then, I think, the coach then to not have to go back to another pass because that's second and long that you got nothing out of, and now you have to go back to another pass again. It allows you to be more balanced in that offense. But those drops that came, especially the early ones, just, I think, really derailed this team. And, it's tough for a rookie quarterback to go out there, first game on the road, Lumen Field, Seattle Seahawks, and take it all in and be level-headed. And, honestly, hats off to I think an overall a good team effort. But, we clear up a few of those things. We clear up some penalties. We clear up some drops. And this team starts to look quite a bit different in the production and, maybe an interception or two that doesn't necessarily go against us either. So,
real quick, Keith, on the GM thing, or as far as firing Sean Payton, let's keep in mind what the Broncos had to do to even get Sean Payton in the building. I mean, giving up a first and second round draft pick plus paying him $18 million. And on top of that, owners will want to eat, $85 million in dead cap. So it tells me that Sean Payton has a longer leash. And I kind of said that going into the season and into the offseason. He has a longer leash than expected. And so I just think it would be, it had to be a disaster season before they would ever even think about moving off Sean Payton. George Payton, we shall see. I'm not into the Broncos, building, so I don't know what their relationship quite, is. So I think it also depends on their working relationship, which up to this point seems like it's been pretty good. I think they realize that, they're more probably planning towards the future, I think, in my opinion. And I think they realize that. And hopefully there's a plan in place to put this team in the, back on the map as far as going back to the playoffs. And hopefully I do think there's a direction with this football team for the first time in, I think, many years.
I'll just say one quick thing, Keith.
Go right ahead, buddy. No, you got time.
Take away Andy Reid and maybe I'm not even going to say John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh that they didn't, John's won a Super Bowl, but take away those coaches. It's a young coaches NFL. Sean McVay, Mike LaFleur from the Packers, McDaniels from the we laugh with Scoops. We call him Mike McDaniels over there in Miami. Everybody. There's a couple names out there in Detroit that everybody's going to be after next year, and if it goes bad, Giants are going to be one. I'm convinced if we don't turn it around, we're going to be after a coach, and it's the young coordinators is the way to go in today's NFL. Don't be surprised. Is why I say if the Broncos do decide to make a change and go younger, with the young team.
Just to add into that, I saw a bold prediction before the beginning of the season, and one of the bold predictions were that we would see coaching firings happening earlier this season than we've seen in the past, just to get ahead of what you're talking about, getting those candidates in and the possibility of talking to them that much earlier. So I'm not going to rule it out, that we're not shopping for a coach, but I can say it's slim.
Yeah,
but
it's got to be really bad, and we
if
just
we're talking like
that's not the case.
if we're 2-12, you know what I mean, we might be start sniffing around a different situation at that point. But I think it's got to be bad, and it's got to be, feel like there's despair, I guess is the best way to put it, man. That being said, never despair. If you're looking for Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, and estate gold wholesale prices, I got the place for you. It's called Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is our fantastic sponsor, and they're also a company that's been out there doing it for over 33 years. Once nationwide, now they're just in your backyard. They're in, northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, and they do shows all summer long for sure. Probably one or two still lined up right around the corner. But you don't have to show up at a show in order to check out Morgan Trinkets. You can check them over on Facebook right now. Any purchase made on their off their site through PayPal over $50 ships absolutely free. And then, of course, if you're checking them out at their shows, all major credit cards, you walk away with your purchase that day. And by the way, if you love silver, they got sterling silver as well, starting at $10, going all the way up to $2,000 as well. Check out Morgan Trinkets, your headquarters for Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, and estate gold at wholesale prices. Check them out today. I'll drop the link in just a moment. Guys, I wanted to flip over to the defensive side, because this defense came out on fire, looking really good. So when we talk about maybe some of the winners that you saw over on the defensive side of things, Trevor, I'll start with you. Give me a name or two, so we keep a name or two for Kenny and myself. But what was some highlights that you really liked on the defensive side of the ball?
Jonathan Cooper. I mean, to me, I'll keep it short and simple. I mean, Jonathan Cooper for me. I mean, right now he's the Broncos' best edge rusher in that room right now. To me, and he's consistent. With Baron Browning, you're just not getting the consistency. Benito, other than, when he gets, kind of free reins to get after the quarterback and he isn't getting blocked, other than that, he didn't really do much, So for me, it's Jonathan Cooper, and I'll give you another one, Zach Allen. Those are the two that I'll stick with. But, Zach Allen, I thought was really good. PFF rated him really low for whatever reason, and I don't understand that at all. I seen the PFF rankings, and they, Jonathan Cooper was the Broncos' best. He performed the best on Sunday according to them, and I agree with that. But Zach Allen, I mean, just I think too low in my opinion from what he did, especially the first half. Second half, it kind of cooled off a little bit, but first half, I mean, he was getting after the quarterback. It was the Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen show in the first half, getting after Geno Smith and stopping the run. I really like that. The two safeties, I mean, they were both part of that. So those are the two guys that really stood out to me, and two names that going forward, opposing offenses are going to have to game plan for.
I like it, buddy. And I would agree with you on both of those two standout names that I liked. And it was really nice to see a guy like Zach Allen. We talked about the preseason. He was looking good there, but he translated that over to week one and was looking good there as well. Kenny, what did you think about this Denver Bronco defense? Went out there, they're getting two safeties in a single quarter. They really kind of stymied this Seattle offense, at least for the first half. Wore down in the second, end up giving up the game. But what did you think about this defense, and did you have any stars outside of the two that we've already named or Trevor already named?
Yeah, well, definitely give you a chance, Keith, to talk about the players. So I'm going to tell you the coach. Vance Joseph, I think, put an end to all the we're going to fire Vance Joseph. Defense looks terrible. Get rid of Vance, bring in Leonard. Vance Joseph called a heck of a game. Like you said, two safeties, Alex Singleton with the interception, Cooper getting the sacks. He dialed up a nice package to confuse Geno Smith, and defense was not a problem and not the reason why the Broncos lost. They kept you in that game, in that harsh environment, one of the toughest places to play. Vance Joseph called a heck of a game on defense, and I think Vance Joseph's chance of getting fired need to go away because this guy did a great job on Sunday.
I like it,
He's my
buddy.
winner.
It's something that we've definitely seen in the comments quite a bit, the calling for Vance Joseph. But like I said, I thought this was going to be a different defense. It's going to be a more attacking style defense. And boy, did they start out that way right off the bat, get a sack on the very first play of the game, get an interception on the very first series. They were hounding Geno Smith most of the game. For a couple of names that I just wanted to point out, and maybe they weren't the biggest names, but they were names with maybe question marks around them. I thought that Cody Barton went out there and played a phenomenal game playing a linebacker right alongside Alex Singleton. Didn't have any big mishaps or issues out there. This is a guy that, when we get rid of a guy like Josie Jewell, a lot of people had questions for. And then I'll keep it right there with another position. Brandon Jones didn't play all that bad, guys. Brandon Jones went out there with all the question marks. We're not even sure if the guy's healthy, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't a Brandon Jones lost us the game. Couple of plays, I need to go back and see that 22 film. I know that the Singleton got called out on maybe potentially losing the wheel route that was a touchdown. I think that was more of a safety issue, and I need to figure out which safety that was. It might have been Brandon Jones on there. But honestly, maybe a miscommunication. Brandon Jones looked decent out there as our safety as well.
Can I throw another name out there?
Yeah, go right ahead, Trevor. We can go around the horn again.
Yeah, so one other name that I want to give praise to, and this is the guy that just signed his contract extension, Mr. Pat Surtain. He shut down DK Metcalf, in my opinion. 3 receptions for 29 yards. I know there was a couple of penalties called on Surtain, but you didn't hear his name called that often, and that's a good thing. When you're going up against DK Metcalf, that's not an easy matchup for a cornerback, and I thought he did a good job at shutting down Metcalf as the game went along, and taking out their number 1 wide receiver. That's not easy. So I want to give props to Pat Surtain. I thought he played well as the game went along, and I think he deserves praise here as well.
Oh, he absolutely deserves some praise, man. Like you said, locking down DK pretty much all game. Even I thought one of those pass interference calls shouldn't have went against Pat Surtain. So I'll give him 1, but not 2. I thought he played lockdown like nobody's business. And, Riley Moss played pretty decent being across from him as his really debut for the Denver Broncos out there being this cornerback too. So, Kenny, did you have anything else you wanted to add over here on the defensive side of the ball?
You guys definitely nailed it on the defensive side of the ball. I'm looking forward to the offensive side.
Oh, very good. Last thing I'll just say on the defensive side, John Franklin Myers came in and played his part, what we expected. When you look at that first half, especially, we stymied that Seattle run game quite well. I don't think that would have been possible with the defensive front that we had out there, and John Franklin Myers being right there in the center took the brunt of that. Malcolm Roach looked pretty good as well along that front. And I know that you were a little bit critical about maybe our rushers and Benito and Browning, but all in all, I thought they did well in protecting the edge and keeping containment. Like I said, in most scenarios. So that whole defensive line front, hats off to them. I thought they did a pretty dang good job. I think a lot of the issues that we saw when Seattle really started getting going was because our offense didn't necessarily help us out at all. That defense was probably getting a little bit worn week 1. Starters not getting that many preseason snaps and the whole 9 yards, though the Broncos got more than most. That being said, you're not in the condition for a full game, and I think that kind of played out for our defense. All right, Kenny, you're all excited about the offensive side of the ball, man. So I'm just going to throw it right over to you, man. I thought you were going to jump out of your chair, buddy. Go ahead.
You want a winner or a loser first?
I'll go a winner.
Winner? You're going to call me crazy because this guy was an inactive, but it's my guy, Lucas Krull. Lucas Krull is a winner because Greg Dulcich was non-existent. 2 for 12. There was 2 receptions, 12 yards. Lucas Krull can be that big target in this short passing game that the Broncos are looking for, which was a question asked earlier. Need a breakthrough wide receiver, tight end. Lucas Krull off this inactive. Hopefully he comes back and can be that guy to step in this role and be the connection with Bo Nix. I mean, I can't go really anybody else winners on the offense by that performance. So it's got to be somebody on the active list for me. And Lucas Kroll can be that spark that the Broncos offense needs.
All right. I'll go over to Trevor. Do you have an all-out winner over there on the offensive side of the ball?
I would say Devon Bailey. I thought he was a winner in this game. I thought he showed some promise. I hope that's one wide receiver that they try to get the ball to a little bit more. Because I thought he showed again the ability. And I mentioned it earlier. Yards after the catch, I thought he did a great job, kind of showing the potential that was there for him. He was one of the guys that I thought actually showed the potential to do that. But with Dulcich real quick, I just don't think they got him involved enough. I don't blame him for that. I think that's Sean Payton issue where, hey, take advantage of Dulcich, his athleticism out there, get him the ball. They just didn't give him the ball, so I can't knock him for that, But, yeah, Devon Bailey for me stood out as a possible playmaker going forward for Bo Nix to possibly throw the ball to. I was impressed with him.
I'll give my winner on offense. I'm going to give it to Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey took a ton of heat last year about how bad he was in pass protection. We just talked about Bo Nix going back there 45 plus times, 50 times, however many times he was back there throwing the ball. He didn't take a whole lot of sacks, and you certainly didn't hear, well, Mike McGlinchey giving up another sack again. Mike McGlinchey out there having issues, with the rush. Mike McGlinchey went out there and played a pretty good game. I will say, as much as I want Garrett Bowles to come back and he needs to be healthy, Garrett Bowles I didn't think looked that great. So I'll take that. I'll take it right off the bat. My offensive not so happy. I'm going to go with Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles got away with a lot of Garrett holds on this last in this last game, and if he's coming back with an injured ankle and he's a little bit slower, and he has to possibly go up against J.J. Watt, it's going to be a long day for Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles needs to step up a little bit. I'll take an easy out. I know there's lots of places you can go on the offense, so I'll go back around to the stepfather loser on the offense as far as you're concerned.
I got two. I'll go with one, and then if we can piggyback, I'll give you the second one. I'll give you an active guy first. I'll give you Marvin Mims has got to be a loser, not only for Sunday, but if this is going to be the offense going forward, short passing, Marvin Mims is going to be non-existent. He's a deep threat receiver. He's a playmaker, and if this is the type of offense you're going to have, he's just going to be a glorified punt returner, kick returner in the future. And to me, that's a loser on offense because he's not giving you any offense. So that's an easy one for me, Marvin Mims.
And Mr. Trevor Rocketman Salzman, what is your choice of off the menu of losers, I guess you could say?
I'm going to go with Javonte Williams. I thought, again, Keith and Kenny, I hope you guys got to see that picture that I seen in the group chat where Javonte, he slipped on the Broncos' first drive after they got that turnover from Singleton. He slipped. That would have been a touchdown. It's a rushing touchdown right there. I mean, there was clear enough, there was a running lane that was there, and he just slipped and fell, and it seemed like that was kind of an issue with him all game. Just could never get his footing underneath him, and there wasn't traction. I don't know if it was the field, his cleats, whatever, but I thought that was a missed opportunity to possibly get the Broncos on the board early and get the rushing game going and the running game going a little bit more and kind of, establish that a little bit sooner. Also, I thought he missed a cutback as well on a running when he was running the football to the outside. He could have cut back into the inside, and I think there was enough of a hole there where you could have got more yards out of that. I don't think it would have been a huge play, but definitely would have been better than what he actually got on that running play in particular. So I thought Javonte Williams, he missed a couple holes that were there for some running lanes, and that trip, him tripping and falling. That's just stuff that can't happen. It happens, unfortunately. And I hope again, that doesn't happen going forward, but you got to have his legs underneath him and can't miss, when you have an open running lane, can't miss that possible chance to get in the end zone and help your rookie quarterback out.
Very good. We talked about some of the highlights or winners over on the defensive side of the ball. We're getting near the end now. Phil McLaughlin saying he was okay with Roach and DJ Jones. He wasn't sure what to expect from them, but Powers disappointed him. So that was maybe his loser on the defensive side of the ball. I'll take the same rotation. Kenny, did you have a loser over on the defensive side?
Yeah, just give you one more on offense real quick.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and give me a winner.
Troy Franklin,
Oh,
inactive.
Troy Franklin, loser. I'm sorry.
It's got to be a loser. Teammate of Bo Nix in Oregon, successful Oregon run, successful season that they had at Oregon. There's going to be growing pains with Bo Nix. Well, how come we can't say there's going to be growing pains with Troy Franklin and let these two play together? To have him inactive in week 1 is a failure from management all the way down to the players, because this guy needs to be on the field and gather that chemistry with Bo Nix. They've done it in college. There's no reason why that can't transition into the NFL. And the longer you let this guy sit and not play, it's going to be a busted career for this guy. And if you don't take a chance with him. So if you're going to allow one to have growing pains, you got to allow the other. Troy Franklin deserves to have a shot and have those growing pains with Bo Nix together, in my opinion. So that's another loser for me. That was my top loser over Marvin Mims, but I wanted to give you an active first.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, buddy. I am going to flip you right over to that defensive side, and wasn't sure if you had a loser over there on the defensive side. Like I said, Phil McLaughlin dropping stars. He was happy with Roach and DJ Jones, but maybe Powers disappointed him. Defense,
maybe Benito. I don't know. I don't see too many losers on the defense. Cooper did well. Maybe Jonah Ellis, because Cooper did so well. We had high hopes on Jonah Ellis. He was pretty much non-existent. So I'd say maybe Jonah Ellis, who I was very high on, but because of everybody else, with Cooper doing so well, you really didn't get to hear much of Jonah Ellis because of Cooper's success.
Very good. Jonah Ellis, a loser just because of the success of the guys in front of him. Maybe lost out on some opportunities to go out there and shine, if those guys weren't shining themselves. Good call. I like that, Kenny. What are your thoughts, Trevor? Any losers over on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, it's tougher to point out the losers on the defense side of the ball, because I do think the defense was playing their hearts out there, and I thought they played, for the most part, pretty well and give this team a chance. If I had to go one guy, I'm going to say PJ Locke. That pursuit of Geno Smith when he took off was not very good. You can't you got juked out by Geno Smith a little bit there. I mean, that's got to be a tackle. That can't be a rushing touchdown right there. So I mean, that wasn't just that play, just a couple plays in particular, but yeah, I mean, that was tough. I could have went Riley Moss there, because I do think he he was fine, but he did get beat by Lockett a little bit, and that was a matchup that I wanted to watch out for in this game. But it's unfair for me to do that, because Lockett and Geno Smith have been together for a while, and Lockett's underrated wide receivers. So it's not like he's going to go up against a bunch of Tyler Lockett's going forward. So but I thought he handled it pretty well, and I thought but Riley Moss got better towards the end of the game. But if I had to pick out one guy, I think it would be PJ Locke, a loser per se.
Yeah. I was having a hard time. I couldn't really come up with a guy, right off the top on the loser side of things. But I think you nailed it. If there was going to be one, man, stopping Geno around the 20 would have been sure nice. And PJ Locke had a perfect opportunity. He kind of reminded me of when Miami came back in that game versus the Patriots, and Gronk was out of position. And they just ran around him to the outside edge. It was like, how'd you let that happen? A PJ Locke, gets faked out and then doesn't have the speed to turn back up around field and get Geno before he gets into the end zone was not a good look. I'm sure that's not going to be on any highlight tape of his anytime soon that he's splicing together. So, got to give it up to Michael Ronquillos, coming in here late, but he's dropping stars when doing it. He's saying, good evening, Trevor, Keith, and Kenny. Bo leave. God bless Bo Nix, and go Bo Broncos. Big orange and blue hearts and giving us a big salute. Michael, we salute you.
I got to give a shout out. I got to give a shout out to Michael. He joined us on our Giants show yesterday with blue and white hearts. So he changes those emojis every day. Love you, Michael. Always great to see you in the shows for sure.
Yeah, big love for Michael Ronquillo. Been a great supporter for a long time. Dan, I don't know if you have any jump out of here, but appreciate it. Great show, he says, guys. Dan, I didn't want to miss you, so if that happens to be the case, great seeing you, Dan. I always love having you in the comments, being part of the posse as well. So, gentlemen, we got about 10 minutes left. We need to start peeking a little bit maybe forward. We're going to do a whole breakdown on the next Denver Bronco Roundup podcast on Friday night on this pregame. It'll be a pregame show versus the Seattle versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sorry, got that Seattle game still on my mind. But yeah, let's take a look at that. Michael just popped up this comment. I got to get to it because he says that Baron Browning offsides gives the Seahawks a chance to win the game, despite cornerback Riley Moss being beat by wide receiver Tyler Lockett. And yeah, that was, those are some of those mental mistakes, those penalty errors that we can't have. I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. That was one of them. Those in the drops, I think, you clear up half of the drops and half of the penalties that we have, and this looks like a whole different game. And Baron Browning, yeah, that was bad juju because Riley Moss was in perfect position. I don't know how Lockett got that pass corralled and got that first down. He did it by being a 16-year veteran in the league and getting it done year after year. So that's
great ball by Geno too. Geno and Locke have that chemistry together. I mean, they were throwing the back shoulder throws. I mean, it seemed like quite a bit throughout the game. So that chemistry, I think, goes a long way. That was a great ball by Geno Smith right there too.
Yeah. That being said, we have some Seahawk fans in here for our pregame show. Hats off to a great game by Seattle. They stuck in it. That was a game that was, for all intents and purposes, they could have gave up on two safeties in the same quarter. You know what I mean? Your offense just not doing anything. They came out in the second half and they just kept plugging and they found a way to get in front and they found a way to seal that win. They gave it all, you know what I mean, on both sides of the ball in order to muster out that win. And I got to give hats off to a team. Every single one of these players get paid to play, and they, that when Tyler Lockett comes up with a great catch, he's getting paid to do that just as much as Riley Moss is getting paid to defend it. Well, he's probably getting paid more, but you know what I'm speaking of. But, hats off, good game. And now we got to move on to week 2. So just really quick, gentlemen, this Pittsburgh Steelers team went in, they knocked off the Falcons. They did it behind the leg of their kicker and Boswell, making 6 field goals in order to get the 18 points up on the board. But nonetheless, Justin Fields and Najee Harris and the bunch went out there and got a win, as well as that, of course, that formidable defense. So just really quick, first thoughts and impressions as we kind of get warmed up and get ready for this game. Like I said, we'll break it all down on Friday as well. But Kenny, what are your thoughts as we welcome the Steelers and possibly Russell Wilson into Mile High?
Yeah, it loses a little mustard because we're hearing that Justin Fields is going to be the starting quarterback. So for me as a football fan watching this game, not as a Bronco or Steelers fan, it loses a little mustard for me. I wanted to see Russell Wilson go into Denver and see who came out on top. Was it Sean Payton and his new Denver Broncos or Russell Wilson with his new team, the Steelers? I wanted to see that. It's losing a little mustard, but the Steelers are coming in off of a week 1 battle with the Falcons. And you know what? They have a top 10 defense every year with Mike Tomlin. So they're bringing in a top defense, and defenses travel well. But you know what? Broncos defense did very well in week 1 too. And, and they travel well too because they were on the road. So they're traveling back home. So their defense is traveling as well. I think you're going to see a low-scoring defensive battle, and I think you're going to see Bo Nix make a couple more plays this week. I think you're going to see more of the running game on Denver, and I think you're going to see not a 2-headed monster, make it a 3-headed monster. Get Estime some carries as well. Change the pace. You got 3 different style running backs. Use them. Make Bo Nix make 3 or 4 big plays in the game, and I'm going to give you a prediction because I won't be on Friday. Bronco fans are going to be very happy. It's not going to be the prettiest of games. It's going to be a low-scoring, I don't want to say vanilla. It's going to be a defensive battle, a lot of field goals. Denver comes out on top, Bronco Nation, 19-16 to get to 1-1.
The only thing I'm going to change on that is we're Broncos country, buddy, not Broncos nation. But that's okay, man.
I meant
1916
to say
win. I like it.
country.
Can't get the
Well,
stepfather in trouble with the posse.
fans. We do have fans out in Australia, so we got to
Yeah,
maybe
there you
make
go.
it Broncos.
There you go. There you go. No, I think that's a great evaluation of maybe what we have in front of us. Carl's coming in here. New name. He says, well, new name. He's also saying new year, new unis, new QB, same old L's. That being said, Trevor, how are you feeling as we match up against Pittsburgh coming to town? You don't have to give a score prediction. We can leave that one till Friday. I know Kenny may not be here, so I understand him jumping in with his prediction. But what are you looking at and looking forward to as we welcome the Steelers into town?
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be the battle of the defenses, like Kenny kind of was talking about earlier. Yeah, I mean, TJ Watt, he's one of the best, pass rushers, elite pass rushers in the game. He really is. He can take over a game if you allow him to. Sean Payton's got to make adjustments. I mean, first and foremost, so you can't throw the ball 40 passing time, 40 passing attempts. Can't happen against the Steelers. That TJ Watt's going to really, he's going to come after you. You have Cameron Hayward as well. They just Mika Fitzpatrick. I mean, they've got Patrick Queen. They've got different, amount of players in that defense that just it's very dangerous. And it's just, I think it's gonna be the battle of the defenses. What defense comes up with the most stops. Also, kind of battle of the offensive minds as well. Arthur Smith versus Sean Payton. Can Sean Payton, outbeat Arthur Smith when it comes to the offense side of the ball? Hopefully Sean Payton's ready to make adjustments. He looked in the mirror this week and from Sunday and said, "It can't happen. Bo Nix can't pass the ball 40 times." He said it too. He said it in his presser the other day. So, they come out. Hopefully they can scheme something up to run the football better, and they can be more effective that way, I should say. But yeah, it's a battle of the defenses per se. And Justin Fields wasn't overly great, but watch out for him and his wheels. I mean, that's a very, very fast, athletic quarterback that you want to keep in the pocket and not let escape. And beat you with his legs. You want to let Justin Fields beat you with his arm.
And I'll say one more thing, Trevor. Steelers Falcons game I got to watch. It was the televised game here in my part. And Pickens is not going to have the game he had in week 1 with Surtain on him. Surtain needs to be glued to this guy, make somebody else beat you. And that's why I got a low-scoring game. I'm not scared of Justin Fields. Broncos defense makes one more turnover than the Steelers. That's the difference. Will Lutz, MVP of the game, 4 field goals.
Nice. I like it. Hopefully, PJ Locke doesn't have nightmares of Justin Fields running loose. If he thought Geno Smith had some moves, look out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup. I think there's a lot of passion, a lot of energy. A lot of reasons to be hyped up about this game, even if Russell Wilson doesn't necessarily get that start. Steelers are sitting atop AFC North. 1-0 alone right now. Well, probably no one expected that to be the case, and they want to stay there. But Broncos are formidable at home. We asked Glenn Cadrez about the Broncos fans and what they brought, and he's like, "There's nothing like walking in there when Broncos country is behind him." He's like, it was like a rock concert. You know what I mean? It was something else. And I expect Broncos country to be rocking at Mile High as they welcome the Steelers. It's going to be, I can't wait. Hopefully it's electric. Hopefully, much like we kind of wanted to have happen and really should have had happen in Seattle, get off to a fast start, so that we can really be able to work this offense, really be able to work our defenses the way that we want. And like you said, Sean Payton, he's got to go out there. He needs to start scheming up a lot better than what we saw last week. He was outcoached by Vance Joseph last week, offense to defense on that side of the ball. So excited to see that game, and we'll be breaking it down a heck of a lot more come this Friday. Michael's coming in with one more. He says a rookie linebacker, Peyton Wilson. We need to watch out for him too on the Steelers defense. He was good against the Falcons offense.
That's a guy that I liked in the draft. I
I
that was
remember
one
that.
guy that I mentioned pretty often. So yeah, it's good to hear that he's doing well. But yeah, they need to, that's something that Sean Payton has to worry about. They've got difference makers on that defense side of the ball. It's battle of the defenses, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a big test for this offensive line. That defensive line and the way that they work, it's going to be a battle all day long. So, let's get some final thoughts. I'm going to go to the stepfather, our guest first. Thank you so much, Kenny, for jumping in, being a part of a Broncos show. You're all about Giants as well, and you got a lot more than just Giants talk going on. Talk about K&K as you say goodbye to us as well.
Oh, well, thank you guys for having me on. I know, glad to be here. Albert, Jody, the Four Horsemen. You guys are the OGs. You guys are the originals. I can only do my best to take your step in for you guys. Let's say fill in when you guys can't be here, and just glad I can do. And I come outside perspective. I think there were a lot of positives on my perspectives tonight, and I think you do have a lot to look forward to. Broncos country. Sorry about earlier with the nation. That was a mistake on my part, and I didn't mean to say that, but when words come out wrong, they come out wrong. But
you're all
good, I think you got a lot to look forward to. I saw a lot of good things defensively. You look like you're there, and offense, let's get it going. And I think you come out with the victory, like I said. Keith, guys, we got a full packed night of shows tomorrow. Wits and Wagers is back, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Myself, Carson, and Joey Clams. We're going to talk a little about, do some college football, NFL picks. You want to know what we're picking Broncos? We'll pick that game for you. And then 8 o'clock, the original K&K show, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. We got week 1 NFL recap, around the league, some wild card baseball talk, and college football. And then last but not least, Kurt Valenti and his wife, Jennifer Valenti. Let's Talk Broncos. Must see. That will be on 9 p.m. Mountain Time. I want to make sure I got the time right. No, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Sorry, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Kurt's going to be fired up like he always brings that East Coast Broncos show to everybody. So go check us out. Appreciate you guys. Much love to everybody. Good luck, Broncos, on Sunday.
Awesome, buddy. Appreciate it, man. You guys all need to check out the K&K Sports Show. All the plethora of shows that they have going on over there. Can't catch a bad one. Guarantee it. Guaranteed right here. If not, come back in the chat, then you can roast me, all right? Trevor, let's say goodnight.
Again, Kenny, thank you for joining the show. And I want to point out, Kenny, you do have a pregame show on Sunday, right before your Giants game, right? I want to make sure we
Giants, and then Monday we have the post-game Giants.
Okay.
11:30, 9:30 Mountain Time. If you want to come hang out with us talking Giants, you want to roast us, feel free. Do whatever you want with the Giants. I'll take it. We take it. We take our lumps over there in Giants, the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. So come bring it. 9:30 a.m.
Awesome.
Sunday.
Yeah. I want to make sure that you get all your shows plugged in. And again, thank you for everything that you do for us. And, you're part of us as well. So I can't, a lot of praise for those guys in K&K Sports Show. So go over there and support them as well. But again, big thank you to everybody in the posse, for just being amazing. Your questions, whether you're watching now, after the fact, opposing fans we're getting now too. So, come hang out with us and ask us questions, be respectful, of course, as always. And we really appreciate that. The respect from both sides, from, our fans to the opposing team's fans. So, shout out to, again, all the Seattle Seahawks fans that tuned into our shows. And we're very, very good and very, very great. And good luck to them, for their season going forward as well. Can't wait to break it down again. Broncos versus Steelers. It doesn't look like Russell Wilson's going to be playing, so we'll get final word on that per se. But looking forward to it. Nevertheless, it's a chance to rebound for Sean Payton and this offense. A chance to show what kind of this offense is going to be made of. So I'm looking forward to it. I try to be a little bit positive as much as possible, as much as I see fit, but also trying to criticize as much as we what it sees fit as well. So I just want to thank you to everybody tonight, and all my again, just all the fans that we have, and everybody that was on the show with me here tonight, Keith, and Kenny as well. So a big thank you to you guys. Hope you guys have a great week, and go Broncos as always. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Phil, I agree. He puts up at the last comments. It's really disappointing when our deep puts up 4 points and gets us all the turnovers, and we do not capitalize. That has to change. And I agree, buddy.
10 points with Singleton's interception. That was almost a pick six.
Yeah. I was pulling for that guy, a Montana State University college guy. So I've been watching Singleton ever since way back in the day. He went up to Canada, came back down to the States, over to Philly, down to Denver, gets the big contract. I've been pulling for Alex for a long time. But that being said, I've been pulling for the posse as well, man, because you guys are coming in here and just absolutely been fantastic supporters. Every show that we have, whether it be a Tuesday, Friday, 7:30 p.m. type of show, whether we're going post-game, whether we're having special episodes with Howard Griffith and Glenn Cadrez, you guys have been absolutely amazing in your support. Can't thank you all enough. Couple of special shout outs really quick. Mike Carmelini over on Twitter, giving me a top 50 Broncos account over there on Twitter. Thank you, Mike. He's been a great supporter of the show, the podcast. He's ranked us as a top podcast as well. And just appreciate those who recognize what we do and give us a little bit of love. And then it's Luke Wattenberg's birthday today, so happy birthday to Luke Wattenberg. Got to shout that out as well. But I also posted out there in the Denver Bronco Roundup one that many may remember, and that was one Alan Aldrich that passed away at the age of 52. Reasons not known at this point, but here's a Super Bowl winner for us, starter in that Super Bowl 32, and remember him well. Had a great career, not only with the Broncos, but ended up going on to the Lions as well. And he's going to be missed. And boy, I love me some Alan Aldrich.
One more salute.
Yeah, one more salute for him, to his family. Big Mile High salute, man. Our hearts and thoughts and go out to him and everyone close to him. So and Broncos country, because I know a lot of people are like me, remember Alan Aldrich and all the great things that he did on the field for us. So hate to leave on a sad note, but that being said, make sure you check us out every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Don't forget that post-game show that goes live directly after the Denver Broncos win or lose. And as always, make sure, keep your feet in the stirrups, keep your guns in the holsters, and always keep the Denver Broncos in your heart. Until next time, we're out of here. Good night, everybody.